A Gathering of Days by Joan W. Bloss. Chapter 4. Sabbath Day, December 12th, 1830. I could not speak with C. Today, her mother keeping close by her side at morning service and after. I am so mindful of the stranger. Everything reminds me of him. The cold we felt on going out, the grateful warmth at home. Yet sadly, I am in no way near to knowing what is right in this instance and what I ought to do. Please, miss, I am cold. Sinned against or dangerous sinner. I do so long to speak of it, yet who can give me counsel? I am cold, take pity. I wish he had never come to our place, disturbing the quiet of our woods, enforcing his words in my book. Monday, December 13th, 1830. Some of the shipment's pies are stolen. That had been put in the buttery after Thanksgiving meal. They were meant to freeze and keep, and would have been good till March. Asa, whose sweet tooth is well known, was thrashed for the offense. Cassie, who does not know of the phantom, observes that A protested but little, and that this is a confirmation he was indeed the culprit. As I am quite concerned 'tis the phantom's work, again are wrong and right confused, and by what plausible signs? Asa's brother David noted that the footprints in the snow matched not Asa's boots, but there was Asa accepting guilt. This to protect the phantom, I'm sure. And Asa's father brushing him off, saying that yesterday's snowfall was fine, and what with the wind and drifting over, no print would hold its shape. Besides, he said, like charity, stealing begins at home. Tuesday, December 14th, 1830. In this day, under skies so blue, they seemed entirely to mock me. I had despaired, having been enlightened, and at what ought to have been the height of my joy, been again cast down. I have so sorely offended Cassie, she will not speak to me. I cannot remember that this has happened before. Before a chance was proved to me, Asa spoke with Cassie about what we had seen in the woods. I knew when I crossed the schoolhouse sill how terribly she disapproved. The eyes that found me were dark and troubled, and scarce consented to mine. My mind, as I took my seat, was distressed, and not with the lessons ahead. I disregarded both father and Cassie. I thought I could not do it, but how could I refuse the pleas of Asa and the stranger? The first of these so fully persuaded, and the other so much in need. Teacher Holt took his usual place, setting out precepts for the youngest to read in words of one syllable. Give to them that want, he wrote, the text seeming chosen to address my dilemma. How my heart leapt up. I poked at Cassie in the row ahead, and she, though slightly, nodded. Several other precepts appeared below the wondrous first. Then, speak the truth and lie not. Cassie turned to me at this, sorrowful and rebuking. Forgetting myself, I exclaimed again, but no lie is asked. Thus was our teacher's attention drawn, and I composing my face the faster, Cassie was chastised. Think you, Miss Shipman, said Teacher Holt, making the little taunt. Think you, Miss Shipman, that you or I, or indeed any of us, outgrow these simple schoolroom teachings? No, 'tis their very simplicity that makes them last and last and last. And therefore I will have you write 100 times that you may remember, teach me to do thy will. Cassie, the purest in spirit of all to be so cruelly shamed. Slowly, how slowly the day wore on. I could not risk a sign or gesture, and this was truer punishment than any a teacher might have devised to fit the circumstances. For Cassie, it now seemed to me, had been in the right. The very concealment were a lie. And Cassie, because obedient and good, had known at once what I and Asa were so slow to see. Going home, I walked abreast of her, carefully matching my step to hers, hoping she might send me a glance that I might return with a smile. But she, so gentle, was adamant, and turned at her gate without speaking. Cassie, will you hear your friend? Cassie, will you forgive me? Oh, in the morning will all be told, and will you then accept me back, who am so undeserving? Thursday, December 16th, 1830. Cassie said, "Forgive me, Catherine." "No, 'tis I begged. At length, amidst what stinging tears, we each of us heard the other out. For even as I had taken her view, so surely had she, in sleepless hours, come to accord with mine. Such turnabout evoked wan smiles. And when at last we spoke again, Cassie said so quietly it was nearly a whisper, "Kindness must be the highest virtue. Don't let me forget that, ever. Were I to strive for one thing only, 'twould be to be kind to others, as you are, Catherine." Friday, December 17th, 1830. Cassie and I this afternoon selected one of my mother's quilts, one with plenty of warmth in it, yet though some parts worn and faded. This would be our answer to the fugitive's appeal. Could he have known when he wrote in my book that I, though a child, had been installed in my mother's place? If so, where were he a local man? Did Providence guide his hand? Folding the quilt as small as we might, and wrapping some sausage and apples within, we crossed behind the shipman's house, reached the road, and thence proceeded to the Phantom Stone. Asa dubbed it thus one day, and the name has taken. As part of our plan, I carried along the fateful lesson book. Should we be seen or questioned by neighbors, I was well rehearsed to say that I was in search of a certain tree which I intended sketching. Cassie had come to companion me, and see, she carried a worn-out quilt should we become too cold. A pat excuse, we all believed, to fit the situation. A second purpose might be served by taking the book in hand. Should we meet the stranger himself, he'd know our purpose instantly, thus would not likely harm us. The woods, as ever, were still and cold, the only sound the cackling of branches, as frozen, they touched one another. Sketchbook or no, we did not tarry, and though we saw no human sign, sped about our errand. I turned but once as we left the spot where A had discovered the fugitive's prints, and when he'd occasioned to show to me along the fire's remains. Of this I shall remember forever the look of that cold and wintry clearing, the quilt tucked in the foot of a tree and folded carefully to display a patch of brightest scarlet. I meant it also as a greeting, a flash of color, a bit of warmth, the only thing man made or brought to that desolation. Asa was at the gate. "Did you do it?" he asked, low-voiced. "Yes," we said, and all of a sudden hot tears overflowed. Again I saw that patch of scarlet, remembered my mother's voice as she told her stories. "That gray," she'd said, "was a waistcoat once. The drab's my father's trousers. 'Tis said the pieces of scarlet are old, cut from the back of a Hessian's coat, left behind in battle." There, Kath," said Asa at last. Then he shifted from foot to foot, reached out for the edge of my cloak, and with it wiped my cheek. Saturday, December 18th, 1830. The bread today was overbaked. The beans were barely softened. "Who loves you now?" teased father. If he but knew the real, true cause of my present distraction. Monday, December 20th, 1830. No more can I take my mind from the phantom than dare to re-enter the woods. Yesterday, when a tree burst open, the cold and frost being very severe, the explosive sound set my heart to pounding. So certain was I the report was a rifle's, and my phantom discovered.